Let's go to the garden. Okay, let's go to the gardens. Okay, cada oveja con su pareja. Okay, but are we going straight to the picture now? Okay, so let's before the lunch. Let's do the picture and then we'll continue with the tour. Perfect. That's it. What's the guide? Which one?
Pues yo fui a Creta y me lo pasé genial, a la europea.
Sí, sí. Yo a ver si a partir de ahora que hacemos una cosa, como ya no tengo un bebé, me puedo ir a más cosas, hija, porque es que me he perdido todo, entre el dinero, la niña, el otro viajando y tal. Ahora ya tengo un poquillo más de... Ahora que tengo más libertad, más o menos. Bueno. Es que es una edad muy difícil, pero bueno, ahí estamos. Ahí estamos.
Ay, yo esa edad ya la he pasado.
Ay.
Y ahora estoy con los abuelos. Bueno.
¿Con tus padres?
Mis padres, mis suegros, todos. Tenemos dependientes. ¿Quieres un dependiente en tu vida? Yo te doy uno.
Pues mira, tengo a mi padre con 89 años que gracias a Dios no es dependiente, te lo juro. Además, por si acaso le mandan a Junta Andalucía, porque como estas cosas a veces en unos meses cambia, digo, voy pidiendo que se lo miren porque quién sabe, mi padre está de puta madre. Puta madre tampoco.
So, let's check that.
Sound check, sound.
You're not on again. I think we have to do that once again.
Okay.
I come later to you, Christina.
Ella es cool, but you need to. Ella is so easy. Yes, sure, but still, yeah.
What is it? Real? What is break? What is different?
So, dear colleagues, we had a few technical problems here to get every set up, but now we are back. Yeah, we are now outside the garden, this amazing summer residence, this palace of the Spanish kings, and now we are allowed to film again. We are now walking into the garden and we'll show you the beautiful flowers and trees and all that. But before we do that, we want to do a group picture. So we are all waiting a little bit where the group picture should take place. I love group pictures, or we guides love group pictures. During the conventions, we are doing them very often.
I think already.
No group picture? Huh? No group picture?
I think it's good. Half the group stay. It's interesting. Yeah. They just gave up. I think they couldn't agree.
They couldn't agree. So we are very spontaneously, but I remember these pictures from, do you remember? Everybody's watching, leave it in the comment from Facebook and from Iran. You remember we had this drone flying above, in Facebook and in YouTube, I'm a little bit confused at the moment because I tried to find the right guide to follow. Typically convention situation. Yeah, Iran, I remember we did with the people a big sign, peace ambassador, the drone was flying this picture. Or Prague, we made a video there from the whole convention, it's on our website. So yeah, please watch our videos on YouTube or check out our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. But now we'll try to find the guide and then we are going into the amazing garden here.
Island garden. And why? Because this is a real island. As you know, an island is something surrounded by water. Okay? And here you have the Tagus River and this branch of the river. Okay? Everything is natural. It means that nothing was made by human being. Okay? This is a natural island, not an artificial one, because at that time the idea of having a garden in an island close to a royal palace was in vogue, was fashion at that time. But this one is a natural one, and maybe for that reason, Philip II decided to maintain the original place of the palace of the military order of St. Jacques. Okay, and this is the island garden, but really this is a set of different gardens because we have a total of 5 gardens. The old one and the most important one is the island itself. After we have the King's Garden, the Queen's Garden. Remember that palace? The palace is divided in 2. Okay, and this is the parterre garden. And finally we have an addition without importance in this area. It is called the isleta, like the translation would be the small island, no more. Okay, and now I want to show you my favorite garden that corresponds with Philip II garden, the King's Garden, a little bit of the island and the parterre. Okay, follow me here. If you need to sit down, you can use the retretes. After I'm going to explain you why we give this name. And now, look, this is the King's Garden. This King's Garden was developed during the first period of this royal palace. And do you remember the poor damaged Philip II we have seen at the very beginning? This is the copy, because this was the place where the original one was for centuries. And imagine all the weather, the sun, and so on. Okay, and in both sides we have 2 bas reliefs that correspond with Philip II parents, Charles V and Isabella of Portugal. Okay, and the rest of the marble bas you can see until here are important characters of antiquity. Okay, especially emperors and people related with science, arts, culture, and so on. And why? Because Philip IV, during Philip IV period, the big empire started to decrease, and Philip IV decided to be strong. He strengthened putting the most important character of his dynasty, Charles V, along with Philip II, together with these important old characters. Why? Because he wanted to link his dynasty with the Roman emperors. Something classical, as you know. At the very beginning you can say, oh my goodness, this man was totally crazy. But no, it was something useful. For example, look at this man here. This man is Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar, he was part of the Claudius dynasty. And the first Claudia dynasty was Aeneas. Aeneas. Okay, for that reason, he wanted to link his dynasty with the gods. Imagine, was more crazy, was crazier than the idea of Philip IV. Okay, and you have to imagine that this private garden, without this railing was an addition of the 80s. Okay, the original idea was to continue this garden until the other part of the garden palace. Okay, this corresponded with the king, and the other one corresponded with the queen. Okay, both divided, separated, as we have seen at the beginning. Okay, but finally, they couldn't. Okay, and more things. Look at the small garden. Okay, we have an extraordinary restoration during the beginning of the 80s. And why? Because you have to imagine that it was covered with this horrible floor. Okay, until the end. They recover the original.
Yeah, we are walking now to the other parts of the garden to catch up with our guides. And I show you just a little bit the beauty of this area here. I hope you're all at home here. The birds singing. So I got the message that they're waiting for the group picture. Now we found them. They're waiting for us for the group picture. That's why I went here. There is still another group behind. They are doing their tour at the beginning of the garden.
Okay, then we're not in it.
Everybody is here. It's okay.
It's okay. Okay, we do it.
Agenda.
Can you please put one? Yeah, there is a hole. Okay, perfect. This is equilibrated. That's very nice. In English. Okay. So, I will ask you to smile. 1, 2, 3. Again, 1, 2, 3. Viva! Viva!
So you're all live on Facebook and YouTube.
Oh my God, I want to know what all that is.
Here with the statue. Never touch.
No touch.
Now the others are coming.
¿Qué? ¿Tenéis vuestra propia agenda o qué?
Everybody for being late. Ale, up. The next exercise again, the same. Can you please hurry up? We're about 15 minutes late.
Con esto. Sí, no, pues ahí. Es que no voy a salir con todo eso colgando.
¿Pueden ponerse, por favor, así?
Iñaki, vente aquí.
Después ya está. Sí, pero necesitamos
Está conmigo. Hombre, vete para acá. Vete ahí en la esquina, hombre. Aquí con la Ceci, hombre. Si quiere, es opcional.
¿Are we ready now? ¿No quieren subirse? La guía para pues. 1, 2, 3.
Es que estábamos esperando 15 minutos.
Vale, pensaba que yo no.
No, era todo el grupo.
Por favor, busquen un lugarcito allá arriba, dejen pasar a las guías. Bueno, muy bien. Estamos bien. Ahí estamos bien. Okay. Bueno, va la una. 1, 2, 3, en français. 1, 2, 3.
¡Ande!
Happy New Year! C'est bon.
Y yo sí, yo también, yo ahí aquí.
Wait. James will do one with me.
Okay.
Why? ¡Hello! Ya me se ha olvidado, no me enteraba.
Now the video. Do you want to do the
So
video, Sebastian?
what should we say? You have to repeat it because some people, James, woo!
I should turn off.
Can you repeat what we must say because some people just arrived?
Yeah.
Come in, you're not on the photo. We'll take it.
It's okay.
All right.
Now everybody
Ladies
wants
and
to
gents, we need you all back in. We will be sharing some of these pictures, so you don't have to worry. Okay, on the official channels, ladies and gentlemen, we want a word from our leader about exactly what would you like them to say.
So this video will be released on the 21st of February for International Tourist Guide Day. So if you can all with much enthusiasm say Happy International Tourist Guide Day.
Happy International Tourist Guide Day.
So we are doing now the behind the scene live video. So you see how the video is produced live, and on Tourist Guide Day you see then the perfect video. So I do not cut, I stream everything. No.
Tourist Guide Day. Happy International.
You realized I have to go off, so I go away now. I show you a little bit the beauty of the statues here. Here we go.
Sorry? Yeah. I'm going to do this twice with this and once with my phone as a backup. And I am going to start here and move the camera across. So we've got the feeling of something happening. So, Arushka's going to do 3. So, coming down. 3, 2, 1.
And I
Happy International Tourist Guide Day. 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 Happy
just a few impressions,
Tourist
yeah.
Guide Day.
We have an amazing community day, and this is typical for our conventions. When all of the guides come together, they all have the same mood, the same interests, and normally latest the second evening everybody is dancing, and during the gala dinner it's really always an amazing feeling when everybody's standing together, holding their hands, and then Old Lang Syne is the typical song we sing together, and then We Are the World is the final song. And then you really have the feeling that we tourist guides, we bring people together. Isn't it that when you travel that you are more open-minded, that you that you are interested in new things, and you have no fear about foreign countries, and that can destroy borders. I think that we tourist guides, we really have an important role in the change, and that the people have less fear of what's happening and what's going on. And
something nice, such as...
Okay, and then just walk past me and then...
Vamos a escuchar lo que dicen los demás.
I'm not allowed to come back. They're immediately saying I have to leave here. So International Tourist Guide Day is the 21st of February each year, and tourist guides around the world are doing amazing tours. Most of them are free, so that you can just join them. I know that from the Austrian and from the German association. I'm a guide in Austria and Germany, yes. So the Austrian association, the different associations in the different countries, they all do something different. In Vienna it's always mostly in a museum, and they have at least up to 15,000 guests on that day. So it's around the 21st of February. I think in Vienna this year it's the 20th. It's mostly the week before and after this International Tourist Guide Day. It was founded 1987 when our association was founded. This was the date where the World Federation of Tourist Guides had been founded here. And the German association, they have now, a long time they made a book or a small booklet with all the tours in all over Germany, which are offered, and now they have a website for that. And when you watch the YouTube, the Facebook pages of WFTGA and all the members, then there we post which countries are doing tours or promotional things. Really mostly free. It's just it's kind of a marketing day for us tourist guides, but it's also a day to start the season, to bring us all together and to remember some interesting buildings. Sometimes we collect donations for buildings where we are going to, and we want to support renovation. So this is really a day from tourist guides for the public and for the tourist industry. 21st of February each year. They're still doing their video, so I'm still not allowed to come back, and that's why I'm walking you around, but I see they're coming to the end, and then I also will say my word. Happy International Tourist Guide Day, you all have to say. And this video will be published on our social media channels. Whatever I have to say here, where we don't know. We'll see.
This is the Heracles fountain.
Artemis. Everything is Greek mythology. The paintings inside the palace as well.
I mean the Greek mythology is very much used as symbols. According to tradition, the Spanish royal family is a direct descendant from Heracles.
Oh, by the way,
That's why Heracles, yes, tradition. Why they are always representing Heracles in the royal palace. Legendarily speaking, the legend says that they are direct descendants from Heracles. So Gibraltar and Ceuta, they are represented at the end of we have another Heracles fountain at the end. Ceuta and so.
I love your guidance.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you very much. I was so nervous about having guides behind me.
I know, he gave you a hard time. I will slap him later.
No, he didn't. No. No, don't get me wrong.
Hello from Toronto.
Anyway, his agreement with the royal family and Queen Sophia is at all point. But
No, not at all. I myself, when I am a tourist, I ask a lot, so not a hard time at all. Susana here.
Esmeralda.
Esmeralda, I remember. I registered here. Yes. I want to take a picture because the light is great for this, and I want to put it. Bueno, yo no sé qué está pasando ahora. ¿Hacemos la hacemos?
Yeah, you realize we are really live streaming. It was not really a special prepared tour today.
No, que al final.
Virtual
Okay.
tours. We want to give you the feeling that you're part
Hello,
of the
can you hear
convention.
me?
That's why it's just a live stream
Hello.
how it should be.
Here
And
am I
now
in front of
I found our new guide and I hand over to her.
Yes, is this okay?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So my group, please, where is it? Or maybe they decided to go on their own, or what is it? Hello. Tú eras, sí, claro, el holandés. Es que te has cambiado un poco la cara, te has cortado el pelo.
Eso.
¿Ves tú? Claro, yo es que te he reconocido, pero no me acuerdo tu nombre. Además te vi ayer que has publicado algo en el LinkedIn.
Eso, sí, señor, claro.
Pero no me acuerdo. Marine.
Marraine.
Ok, so 1, 2, 3,
Mire, yo no te
4,
digo,
5.
pero se me voy a poner cerca porque me interesa.
Sí, no tienes un smartphone.
Ya, pero casi sin.
No, pero te pones cerca, bueno, pero vamos a ver, aquí falta todo Dios.
Se oye perfectamente.
Hello, where is my group? Hello. Sí, perfecto, me alegra. So we have, we have 1 hour to enjoy the gardens. I think mostly everybody is here. Oh, so many bags, so little time. Whatever, okay. So many bags, so little time. Okay, I think I'll start. So, well, after all this photo shooting, we are going to continue with our tour. So we have been touring around the palace. So if you try to get your orientation, you will remember that the side of the palace is where that throne or audience room was. That was the chambers, the public and private chambers of the monarch, in this case the queen, because Isabel II was the last person to have used the palace as springtime residence. So from the other side, we could see that square, but from this side, we have the gardens. It shows you how this was the privileged side of the palace. The water we can see has been canalized from the river we mentioned in the past, the longest river in Spain, the Tagus River. In Spanish is Tajo, and in Portuguese they say Tejo. Okay, so they created a canal, and these gardens are surrounded by water. That's why it is an island. We call them the island gardens. What is it? You need them?
I just checked one. Sorry.
Oh, I don't understand. Whatever. So, not all the fountains are on. It would be great if they were on, but it is complicated. Okay, it is money, they need a lot of frustration, they need a lot of funding. Everything could be better, but still we can see all this wonderful collection of mythological figures. In this case, we can see twice the figure of Heracles, other different representations of the Greek mythology. Some of you from Greece were sort of surprised, but in the neoclassic period and even before, the different Greek or Roman gods has been used as archetypal symbols. And on the other hand, we were mentioning privately, just for you to share, according to the legend or tradition, the Spanish royal family is a direct descendant from Heracles. Okay, that's when the royal palace. We also have a vaulted ceiling dedicated to Heracles and so on. It is always said so. You know, they have their geographers where they wrote and everything. In any case, we have some splendid statues. Most of them, or many of them, were made in Italy. Also, look at the beauty of the basin of the fountain. I mean, sometimes we just walk by them sort of quickly, but when we pay attention to the effort put on this basins made out of one piece of marble, the one on the other side. The lower parts are made with different segments of marble, but they are magnificent pieces. So we are going to walk a little bit through these gardens, which were designed for the first time on the 16th century by Philip II. We mentioned that. So during the period of Philip II, that was the only gardens that existed, and they have been changed on several occasions. Here we have some sort of a satire. You can see how the acid rain is spoiling the marble, but you know, in some cases, in the case of the city of Madrid, they just take the original fountains and put them in museums, bringing copies, but in this case, they have left the original ones, but it still gives us the chance to recognize the hooves, like the, you know, beastly part of our passionate nature. Okay, let's go. So let's the second floor to these gardens. It is also an opportunity to see the sun through it. So it is if you can get heat, you know, of the sun. In the summer, you get leaves that make it, but this place huge. It is also with the Bourbons a favorite place. For example, if you know the figure of the painter Goya, the picture of the family of Charles IV, the family portrait, happened here. It was the time when Napoleon was invading on Europe. He invaded the Italian peninsula. There was one of these little micro kingdoms there, was ruled by some cousins of the King Charles IV, and they fled. They came to Spain for refuge, and in the middle of that big crisis, the king said, "Isn't it a great opportunity to get a family picture?" So we were not the only ones to get family pictures today. So here he made all the sketches, and the painting was done in the workshop in Madrid. Aranjuez was also the protagonist of an upheaval against that king, Charles IV, organized by the secret agents of his own son. I invite you to go to the Prado Museum, and if you cannot go to the Prado Museum, just get a picture of the family of Charles IV, and on the left-hand side of the picture, you can see the figure of Ferdinand VII standing in the shade, 8 years before the betrayal was obvious. So people tell me, was Goya a visionary? What did he know? I said, well, I don't know if he had inside information, or, you know, artists are very sensitive, you know, when something smells fishy. Sometimes, you know, someone is up to something and you don't know what or why, but when they do it, you say, I knew it. So maybe that was it. But facts are that the painting was done 8 years before this mutiny, and the king was forced to abdicate the crown. That all happened in Aranjuez. The prime minister fled for his life, and he lived in the house where we stopped the bus. That hotel was the prime minister's house. Godoy, he fled to France. The king, Charles IV, seeing what he had done, he left Madrid and went to France to talk to Napoleon, to seek for help. Napoleon was officially an ally from the king. His son Ferdinand ran after him, fearing for his life. And that's where they spent several years during the time that the Spanish people were fighting for their independence in a war which is called the Independence War in the Spanish books, the Spanish War in the French books, and the French-Spanish War in the rest of the books. Okay, so depending on the book, you know, on who wrote it, it will have different names. And it was during that same France that Ferdinand fell in love with the idea of putting silk on the walls of the houses. You know, from that terrible period it happened, they're toasting for the health of Napoleon. If there had been paparazzi at the time, history would have been completely different. People were fighting here for him, thinking that he was a poor boy or everything, and he was saying, no better head than Napoleon could be wearing the Spanish crown. His words. The French were outraged, admiring the Spanish people and despising the king. He said, poor people, they don't know what they've got. Yeah, this is written, this is facts. But it all started here in Aranjuez. In any case, another important character before all these things happened was Farinelli. Do you know about Farinelli? The opera singer, the castrati. He was not just a singer, he came here in order, this is one of these huge trees. I told you that we don't have in Madrid because they were destroyed during the different wars. Okay, look, but this is not the biggest is like double. Farinelli would organize, he was not just a singer, he was in charge of the free time activities. You know, he would sing, he would organize a party, he would organize a festivity, anything here, you know. He had a lot of power. He didn't have any titles from birth, but he got them in the end from the king. When Charles III became the king, Farinelli was chucked out because he didn't want any gays around him. And also with the arrival of the Bourbons, all the little dwarfs that appear on the different pictures of the 17th century also disappeared because they were not perfect, as if they were perfect. Describe perfection. Okay, let's continue, tell you stories as we walk through the gardens. Oh, here we have the other side of the group. So the next fine thing we're going to see is a copy from the original. The original sculpture is at the Prado Museum. It is a copy from a classical statue of a boy taking a thorn out of his foot. It's not a mythological image. It is just everyday life, and that's the beauty about it. There is no symbology behind it. There is, as far as I know, there aren't any hidden archetypes. And there we have the little boy in a very natural position, you know, trying to get the thorn out of the sole of his foot. So as it is a statue, the nice thing is to surround it. But the original one, it is at the Prado Museum in this case. So I'm happy to see that they're working on the gardens, preparing everything for the arrival of springtime. I know it is a little bit noisy, which is a pity in this, but when we are out of this vehicle, make use of your senses. A garden is not something that they tell you about. It's something you should feel, okay? Oh, look, yes, a peacock. Yes, maybe you can get it with a camera. They're very used to people. You can see them in all the sites of national heritage, because in Spanish we call it royal peacock, a royal peacock, okay? And they are taken care of by the authorities of the National Heritage Administration. Thank you for making us aware of it. I hadn't seen it. It is